Basketball myths.
Oh my goodness, there's so many out there.
Let's get to it
for sure. The myth of you have to square your feet to the basket. This is
Love it.
One of the biggest myths that I bust every single day. Right? Okay. Your feet should not point, like your toes don't need to point to the basket. Shocker. Okay. Like when you think about it, think of your favorite basketball player, right? And think about how they shoot. When you look at their form and you see their feet, you see the base of their jump shot. Nobody's squared up to the basket. Nobody has their toes pointing to the basket. They all have a tilt to either the left or the right. If you're a right-handed person, you shoot with your right hand, you're gonna have a tilt to the left. If you shoot with your left hand, you're gonna have a tilt to the right. That's normal, and that's actually how you're supposed to shoot, right? That's my biggest myth. Do I need to go into more as to why that's better, that's more important, or do we just?
I mean, we can bounce back and forth.
Okay.
Because I think. Yeah, like you see, I mean, Kevin Durant is the first person that comes to my mind of pretty exaggerated to the side. One of my favorites is, so Steph Curry did a master class of how to shoot.
Yeah.
And so he's breaking everything down, elbow, whatever, 10 toes to the rim. And he was big on that. But then I could go find
lots of clips where he's not doing that.
Thousands of clips where he's angled.
Yeah.
Especially if you're shooting on the move and stuff, you're going to almost have to angle him to get it off.
That's crazy he said that. I'm surprised he said that. He really said that? That
happens so often though, bro. Like there's this huge disconnect of what players think they do versus what they actually do.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, in theory, I'm sure it was a good thing to teach starting out. But now, I don't think so at all. Nobody shoots like that at a high level. I don't think if you're a parent or you're a coach and you're starting to teach somebody the proper way to shoot, and that's your first, that's where you start, don't do it anymore. If I want this episode to be the reason why you you stop teaching kids to point all 10 toes to the basket. It's not how high level basketball players shoot. Boys, girls, doesn't matter, right? They tilt. I always teach tilt, and the reason why, right? I teach tilt specifically, and why everybody should start teaching the tilt is because it's gonna naturally align your elbow to the basket. That's the most important part, I think, right? Is your elbow aligning to the basket is gonna make the ball travel straight and get the ball to the hoop, right? I think everybody can agree on that. Okay, right? If I have my feet set right at the basket, that means I have to twist my upper body and my shoulder inward to try and get my elbow to point at the basket. I'm adding a twist, I'm adding layers to my jump shot that doesn't make a lot of sense. When I could just tilt to the side a little bit, and now if I just bring my arm up, I'm naturally aligned to the basket. So that's how I rationalize it to everybody, because again, like I said, any kid that I tell shoot with a tilt, they'll be like, why? And then there's a lot of pushback, and then I'll explain it, and then they'll go through it, and then it'll feel weird because of how smooth it is, but it's just it's way more natural. Your body will just line up to the basket a lot more, and then you're going to get a lot less left to right misses, and now you're working with, fluidity and emotion and power transfer and distance. That's all you're working on now instead of left and right, unless you're using your left thumb to shoot. That's a whole different issue, by the way.
Yeah, so this relates seamlessly to my myth. So I'm going to say it, and then we can just wrap on this, because it's basically one big thing, is the idea of that there's one right technique or one right way to do something.
Yeah, I know.
So my thing is, it depends. Some players might prefer a tilt. Some players might like 10 toes to the rim.
Yeah.
The idea is everybody anatomically is different. Kevin Durant shoots just from the waist up. They shoot very different, KD versus Steph.
Most definitely.
And it's so being skilled or whatever, being skilled is less about repeating the same technique over and over and over again. Or it's also less about a coach telling you like, here's how to do it. There's this balance of letting the players explore. Because to your point, like a tilt for some people might work amazing. And for a lot, I don't know about a majority, whatever, but like a ton of players, that's what it is. For some players, the 10 toes to the rim might work. So it's more about like exploring, I think.
Most definitely. I think so. I can agree with that to a certain degree, but for the most part, whenever I tell kids to start tilting, I see a massive improvement into their jump shot immediately. Also, the fluidity is different too, right? Because just like I said, removing the layer of twisting your hips and your shoulders to line up to the basket, it just makes kids just feel a lot better most of the time, and it's just the fluidity just changes a lot. So I still to this day, I'll stand by that for sure. But I agree, because tilt, there's no perfect tilt, right? It's 45 degrees every single time, or 60 degrees, 20 degrees, whatever it is. There's no perfect tilt. I think there is definitely what's called personal differences. You have to explore that. You got to figure that out. And you can only do that through reps. And then whenever you find what's that comfortable range, what's that comfortable placement for you, then you got to rep it out. And you have to perfect that technique. So there aren't, and I agree, there aren't any broken techniques in my opinion, but I think when people stick to that specific myth though, then they'll have a harder time getting better in that aspect. Oh, and another one, I think that's a broken technique. So you're saying that there's no broken technique, right? As long as you rep it out, it's.
So there's invariance. So meaning there's certain qualities in a shot, for example, that most or all high level shooters have. So you mentioned energy transfer, like the all one motion type of thing. Yeah. Like, have you ever seen clips of Manute Bol shooting?
Manute Bol? No.
So Lonzo Ball is a better example.
Yep.
So when he was with the Lakers and UCLA, he's a right-handed shooter shooting across his face towards like his left shoulder.
Yeah.
So if he's pulling up to his right, he has to twist his body. And so that's probably not going to work. And we saw it not work, so he had to change it. So there's certain qualities that more or less are the same amongst all shooters. Yeah. But within that, a lot of it is about personal preference.
Yeah, definitely. I think I teach high set points with most of my athletes. Like if you're shooting underneath your chin, I don't really like it. I try and change it as much as I can. Unless you're super young and not strong enough, then I won't mess with it too much. But most of the time, like your set point needs to be like right eye or above. That's what I think.
Interesting. Why do you think that?
Higher set points, less likely to get blocked. And then shooting over athletes is definitely, it's a skill in itself. So like Steph Curry, like I remember seeing a story about him. He used to shoot from his waist up until like his freshman or sophomore year or something like that. I can't remember what the age was, but he was still shot at a high clip. Just shot it from his waist and like from here started pushing forward already, right, to get it to the basket. Again, whenever you're weaker or you rep out that technique, that's the habit that you create. So, but like think about it, like you shoot it from a lower spot, like it's easier to be on top of it and block it. While like let's say Michael Porter Jr., who's I don't even know how tall this dude is.
Some people say he's damn near 7 foot, like 6'10".
This dude is super tall for sure, with crazy vert and crazy wingspan, and he gets right up to here on his jump shot, right? Imagine if I'm 6'9", 6'10", or whatever, 7 foot, however tall this dude is, right? And from here, releasing the ball all the way up here, like you're not going to get to that ball, right? But if I'm right here and I shoot it right at you, right in front of you, like you're going to be able to contest that shot a little bit better. So that's why I try and teach as much as I can, as high as you can go comfortably, right? Without airballing too much, right? Where the energy transfer is still really good. But yeah, no, I try and teach as comfortable and as high as you can get the ball for your set point.
Interesting.
Yep. And the left tilt if you're right-handed. I always can't forget the tilt.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Like a higher release keeps you from getting blocked. And I think it goes back to sort of the point I was making of like, there's not one right technique, even within that certain player. So like the way you shoot a mid-range pull-up, you're more than likely going to have your momentum going downhill or at like a 45-degree angle.
Yep.
And it's a shorter distance. So those two things combined make you have to have a little bit more finesse.
Yeah.
Kind of closer to like you're throwing a dart. So a higher release is great for that. Like Michael Porter, if you're 6'9", 6'10", and can get it up here, cheat code. People in the league talk about that all the time. Like I can contest MPJ as perfect as I could, but he just shoots it over me.
Just shoot it over, yeah.
What would you say about the guys, the small guards? If you're 6'2", 6'3", even if you're up here, you're not necessarily going to be shooting over somebody.
So the question was for the shorter athlete who has a lower set point, or what is my...
So like if you're 6'2",
yeah,
if you release the ball from your chin versus your eyebrow, that difference to me isn't gonna be significant enough to shoot over somebody contesting you.
Yeah, well, sure, it might not be that big of a difference, but I think the other reason why you want to shoot higher jump shots in general, right, is the trajectory of the ball, where, you know, it'll help you in rebounds or the odds of it going into the basket, off of bounds, stuff like that. So there's lots of different reasons why people want you to shoot higher and have rotation on the ball, stuff like that. Does the difference between here and here change a lot? Maybe not too much, but in the end though, like, would you rather have a ball right here or have the ball right here? And I think, the higher you can go, the better. So I think it depends on where their journey is of where they are. Like if you're a 6'2" guard and you shoot a decent clip and you're in college, maybe don't mess with it too much. But if you're a 6'2" freshman and you're shooting the ball from right here, then maybe you got some time to work on it a little bit and see some improvement, see some changes. Because again, like the feeling of shooting here into somebody's hand versus being here and shooting over somebody's hand is way different. So I think I would still try and give them the same advice of, release it higher, like try and get it up, try and get the ball up higher.
Yeah. I think if you can combine the lower release with, instead of like you were saying, shooting here, go here. Yeah. I think that's the best of both worlds. But to kind of summarize everything, it just depends the context. If you're in college versus a 6'2" freshman, like it just depends. Yeah. So that's a good point. Yeah. So old school versus new school. I'm going to let you go first on this one.
Old school versus new school.
So these are like common like beliefs from the old school and then ways we're changing it from the new school, or what?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways we could talk about this for sure.
Go in whatever direction your heart desires.
Like make sure that we understand like your personnel, right? And don't just do it because you did it, but understand like what group you have, how the game is played, and then you got to adapt to that instead of just saying, oh yeah, this is how we did it. It worked out great for us. We won a state title back in 1980, whatever, or 1990. Like, no, it's not the same at all, right? I think that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. Rick Carlisle is a good example. Shout out to Rick Carlisle. If he happens to be watching, respect.
He definitely saw this. He's
definitely watching right now. He definitely has the post notifications turned on.
Yep.
But he's a good example of, so he won a championship in 2011 with Dirk and Jason Kidd and Sean Marion and all of them. And the way they played is very different style of basketball than the Luka Porzingis Mavericks. And those two styles are very different than the Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, Benedict Mathurin Pacers. And to your point, it's all based on the personnel and what works. I think that's a great point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of old school mentality things I think needs to stick around. Some things need to go for sure, right? It kind of like we were talking about this earlier too, right? It kind of plays hand in hand with the myths. Like just because it's new practice, there's new innovative ways to drill a certain quality, whether if it's a rebounding or a passing quality or a shooting quality or whatever it is. Just because it's new, don't be too quick to dismiss it. Or just because it's old and it's a fan favorite, don't be too quick to go with it as well, right? Like old school mentalities, and they're not always valid. Like it's just a thing that they said back in the day, and maybe thought it was good. Oh, another myth. This goes to the old school mentality: hands off your knees. No, go ahead and put your hands on your knees. Your body does that naturally for a reason, right? Don't put your head down. I think that's what really coaches really care about. I don't think it's a problem that you're tired. Like, sure, maybe you should do some more conditioning or whatever it is, but your tired level in this doesn't really change because your hands are off your knees. Actually, you're more tired because you're not recovering as well, right? Like, everybody gets that position. It's a universal position, not just in basketball. It's a universal position. Whenever you get tired, you put your hands on your knees, you start breathing heavy, right? It allows you to breathe through your back a little bit more, if that makes any sense, right? Horizontal versus vertical breathing, right? That's a whole episode in itself.
Diaphragmatic breathing.
Yes, sir.
360 breath.
And super important. But yeah, like you recover better to be in that position. So be in that position and recover. What coaches don't like and what I don't like is when I don't have eyes on me, right? Like I'm trying to talk to my team and they're tired, and you can be tired and you can be trying to recover. That's not the issue. But, still look at me while I'm talking to you. I think that's the important part. So I think coaches and we'll link the study into the podcast if we need to. But it's proven to improve your recovery, like your heart rate, whenever you have your hands on your knees. I think that's okay. I think we should allow athletes to do that. That's challenging the old school mentality. But yeah, if you still want to have what's the word I'm looking for? Your tough athlete mentality, if that makes any sense, right? Where your athletes don't seem like they're tired, or where you want them to feel locked in, and then you could just tell them to put their head up, right? But let these kids breathe.
Yeah, that's a good one, because hands on the knees also helps offload the weight of your shoulders. Mm-hmm. So you're expending less energy.
Yeah.
And I agree with all of that. Like, it's easier to breathe down there.
It is.
It's tough because, as a player, mm-hmm. if I see my opponent hands on their knees, that's the universal sign for I'm tired.
That's true.
I smell blood, my boy.
That's facts. I didn't think about that part specifically, but I'm thinking more from the science aspect of it. Because like I said, I went to school for this, by the way, right? So that's the reason why I know all this stuff. But in my mind, I'm thinking, give my athlete the advantage, recover. Go ahead and recover the best way you can. And but I will admit, right, because of that, you're smelling blood and water. It gives that different momentum factor, but also maybe eventually it won't even matter because I actually get better recovery than you did, and I'm gonna bust your ass instead because you have this false sense of confidence, whatever it is. But I think, especially in practices, at least in practices, let it happen. Maybe in a game you can be like, okay, that's gonna be our culture. We're gonna look, no hands on your knees in the game, stuff like that. I think that's valid. I think that's okay.
That is some. You ever read The Art of War?
No, I've not.
Good book. Some Art of War shit. Like you. I wish I could remember the quote, but basically, like, hands on the knees. You look tired, so then I smell blood. But then that's just you luring me into your trap. Because, like you said, I'm actually more recovered now. Yeah. Bang, foot on the neck. So that's a good point.
For sure. Yep. But yeah, that I want that to be a new trend as well. Yeah. New school. Yep.
Okay. So now what we think players should actually focus on and work on to get better.
Okay. My biggest thing, like I said, I'm a shooting coach. I think there's not a place for you on the floor if you can't shoot. I think that's the main thing. I don't think there's no going around that. Whatever kind of play you're on, like 1 through 5, you have to be a threat on the floor at all times. And the only way you're a threat on the floor at all times, you can shoot. If you can't shoot, they're going to leave you out there and they're going to worry about the ball and not you. And I think that's a problem. In today's game, you can't afford that. Like, you got to have everybody who's a threat and space the floor. And there's too many kids who can't shoot. There's too many athletes out here, too many basketball players who can't shoot. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because whenever you do have the ball, you want as many options as you can, but your only option is to put the ball on the floor and try and figure out how to get inside the arc. No, you gotta again grow your game out to the 3-point line.
Yeah, that dovetails nicely with the old school versus new school and how the game's evolved.
Most definitely.
Because now it's 5 out. Kristaps Porzingis is sitting. He's all 7-3 of them is sitting outside the 3, spotted up, ready to shoot, and that's analytically probably the smart thing to do. Spaces the floor. So then, to your point, if you can't shoot, it just clogs everything up.
No, you're a liability in a different way, right? Like, you're just eating up space for no reason. Or regardless of where you are, if you can't shoot and you're on the 3-point line, get out of there. Like, there's a shooter who could be using your space, right? And then now you're in the lane, giving your shooter more space. But now you're in the lane. Now I can't drive, right, or whatever it is. Like, you're messing up a cutting angle or whatever it is. So, but it's like everybody has to be a threat wherever they are. I think that's the biggest thing. So if you're an athlete and you don't shoot the ball at a high clip, you got to fix that. I think that should be your number one priority.
Because then that opens up your whole game too. If they know you're a threat to shoot, one, off the dribble, they're going to be hugged up a little bit, so it's easier to blow by. Off the catch, they might close out a little harder, so it's easier to blow by. Then you're attacking downhill with a 4-on-5 advantage. We can kick and get something going. So it opens up your whole game.
It opens up your entire game. Exactly. My whole bag comes from me being able to shoot. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't dribble the ball very well. I can put the ball on the floor 2-3 times very, very well, and that's all you need, to be honest, right? And that's gonna be my other thing, right? Is being able to. I think another thing that athletes need to be able to do is the easiest scoring options.
That's mine. You can't steal that. That's mine.
All right, that's
mine.
Yeah. That's top 3 anyway. Number 1 is being able to shoot, though. I stand by that. I stand by that for sure.
Facts. Yeah. So that's the one I had cooked up. Was there's this maybe misconception about how to score in a game. The analogy I've heard is a boxer isn't going to throw a knockout punch every single time. So if you're watching a Kyrie highlight, it's the highlight culture, right? So like a boxer isn't going to throw a knockout punch every time.
Yeah.
But we constantly scroll and watch Kyrie throw the knockout punch via a 3-4 dribble combo move and then some jelly finish at the rim. And I've fallen victim to it too. You see the highlight and it's like, oh, we need to work on that. That's how you get buckets. But if you were to actually go back and watch all his field goal attempts for that game, for example, it's going to be a lot of catch and shoots, straight line drives to the rim, those easy buckets.
100% agree. Before I do, again, like I said, the first thing that I work with all my athletes is learning how to shoot. With the easiest scoring options, catch, shoot, the easiest scoring option, right? Catch, 1 dribble or 2 dribbles, get to the lane, get all the way for a layup. That's your second easiest option, right? Like all those simple things, you got to be really good at those. You got to be really solid at those simple things that's implementable today. That you could start doing that immediately, right? Like the coach isn't gonna let the 4 dribble combo slide every single time you touch the ball, especially if that hasn't been your game, right? Obviously, like you go into this upcoming season, there's gonna be a kid on your team that has the green light to do not whatever they want, but have a little bit more freedom with putting the ball on the floor and in creating their own opportunities, right? However they see fit. You might not be like that. You might have to just make do with your shorter opportunities, and that's okay because a lot of scoring opportunities are in that window. 1-0, 0 dribbles, 1 dribble, 2 dribbles, right? And then you'll make a lot of advantages, whether if it's you scoring or you find somebody else's opportunity to score. So you have to be really, really solid in those simple moments. That's applicable to every single game and every single possession. Yeah, I agree. That's a great one. That's a great one for you.
Yeah, it gets dangerous too if the catch defender is in front of me, so no advantage, and then I'm just 3, 4, 5 dribbles cooking, getting a bucket. Or even if it's get a bucket or break my man down off the dribble to then create, which can be beneficial. But if that's the only way you know how to make an impact on the game, that's dangerous.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. Wholeheartedly agree. Did
you have other ones?
Yeah, it slipped my mind. Do you have another one? You can go ahead while I'm still thinking about
it. So I guess I should have said this initially, like if you're not going to throw a knockout punch, well, okay, so the examples I gave were a catch and shoot, a straight line drive to the rim.
Yeah.
That could also be running in transition. That could be a backdoor cut. That could be setting a down screen and then slipping it. That could be crashing the offensive glass. So those like quote unquote little things, which are anything but little, I think that would be the main thing I would say players should work on.
Yeah, for sure. I think before all that, but it all plays in hand, obviously, though, is oh my goodness, availability. Right? Yeah. Somebody said that. I can't remember who said it. Availability is the best ability.
Yep.
Right? If you're not conditioned, right, and you don't have the drive to be in the game and participate in every single play, or have the ability to participate, you're not gonna play, right? So I think before all that, you got to be in shape, and like you have to be able to match the demands of the game, right? Intensity wise, speed wise, lateral quickness, north south quickness, all that like plays hand in hand, obviously. But I think that's being available. Oh, not being hurt all the time. Right? Again, availability. That's a skill. You definitely should work on your body, right? Being able to participate, like having the mental capacity also to show up every day at practice, to compete like with your team and show the coaches that you're there, and the ability to perform, right, is super important. And then once you're able to show that you're consistent in that, then the coach is going to be like, okay, when he does have the ball, he does really well with catch and shoot, get into his easy scoring opportunities, and he makes the most of it. I think that's super important.
Shit, that picture you painted, in shape, can shoot, and do the easy bucket stuff. Yeah. That's goddamn 6 figures NIL money. For like real. That's a D1 player right there.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Yo, no, I've watched. So I did 2 videos recently for some pro players, right? Courtney Ramey and TJ Crockett.
Shout out to Courtney, man. Shout out Courtney. TTW for life.
And I've seen their overseas highlights, and I've seen their workouts, obviously, because I've filmed the whole thing. They're not doing anything crazy. Oh my god, the amount of simple things that happen in this workout, and that's also like a big thing that I noticed going into college as well. Is there's no crazy drill, right? It's how great are you and how solid are you? Like how solid are you as a basketball player is what gets people signed overseas. Is get people pro contracts, right? And that's what really matters. The NBA already has a lot of superstars. Right, so every once in a while they're looking for their new superstar, but most of the time, who are they looking for? That solid basketball player who's very, very consistent, right? So yeah, so if like these guys are like, obviously they can do the crazy, like the 2 guys that I mentioned can do the crazy stuff, right? Like you put them up against any basketball player, they can go crazy, but most of the time they're not, because they don't need to, because they're really, really solid basketball players. Oh my goodness. I didn't see a lot of misses during the workout. I really didn't. And they're doing punch dribble, right? Protecting the ball, number 1 priority. They're making sure the ball's protected. Pocket dribbling, super important, right? They're protecting the ball, and then they're getting to a spot, and then they work off of 1 or 2 counters. That's how the entire workout was structured. This is what you do first. This is how you counter that, and then maybe this is how you counter that one as well, right? I think that's how workouts should definitely be structured, and like that's really what's going to create really solid basketball players. Be really, really good in the basics and expand that basics. How flashy can the basics be? Not flashy. Yeah, but how much can you expand the basics? That's how you would scale that.
Yeah. Because then, it depends on what you consider a basic, which could be a whole other episode. Mm-hmm. I think jelly could be a basic. Putting spin on the ball, hit the backboard in. I mean, if you philosophically break down what a basic or a fundamental is, it's something that you do a lot. Mm-hmm. So to your point, like the basics, quote unquote, could end up being super flashy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. Courtney's a perfect example. Like he was always, he got to his spots. Mm-hmm. It wasn't anything crazy flashy. For the most part, it's basic. It's get to his spots. It's the catch and shoot threes off the swing. It's the easy stuff. Mm-hmm. So I like that a lot.